Hey Summers, and welcome back to another ProGuides video. My name is Nathan Ng, and today I'll be helping you figure out how to pick your champion pool. Deciding who you want to invest your time into is pivotal for climbing the ranks. But before we get started, today's question of the day is, what champion do you main? Every champion pool has a centerpiece, the one that everything revolves around. Let us know who you enjoy playing the most on the Rift, and with that being said, let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Champion pools are different for every player. Some of the highest ranking players don't even have a selection. Riven 1 tricks, Yasuo 1 tricks, Thresh 1 tricks, all of them focus on learning everything there is to know and using that knowledge to win. If you are watching this video, you're probably not a 1 trick, and for most players, 1 tricking isn't the best way to climb. League's meta is always changing, and trying to work through the ups and downs isn't very enjoyable. So let's go ahead and talk about the cornerstone of a champion pool, your main. Your main is who you feel good about picking every single time, a champion that you feel comfortable with. It can take some time for you to figure out who you can call your main, especially if you're a newer player. Your main doesn't have to be amazing in the meta or the tier list, but they should be someone that you click with or somebody that you enjoy. Once you figure out who you're planning to main, champ pools are meant to be multiple things at once. In total, there are 5 champions that you'll invest in, 3 for your main role and 2 for your secondary. Your goal should be to choose a role that synergizes with your main one. This way you won't have to learn 2 totally different positions. Deciding on who you want your main and your secondary role is not going to be easy, so let's go ahead and talk about that first. I'll be going through every lane and the roles that will complement them the best. As always, pick what feels best for you. If you like jungle and play ADC, go for it. As a top lane main, you have a few choices for your secondary role. No matter what champions you play there, lane knowledge and understanding of how to split push is essential to your success. So mid lane is a viable option for people who enjoy that 1v1 environment and outplaying their opponent. As a jungle main, any role really works. If you aren't a fan of farming minions, support role is a good role to choose. You'll have a similar impact in the mid and late game, focusing on early objectives with your teammates. Top and mid are decent choices, but they require that you study matchups and learn even more than you probably want to. ADC is the least similar role to the jungle, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't give it a try. As a mid lane main, I'd suggest top or bot as your secondary roles. Your mechanics will help you out in the top lane, especially if you're interested in playing a difficult champion like Camille or Fiora. Mages are also really powerful in the bot lane, so you can easily pick up someone like Swain or Cassiopeia and be effective. This works for support as well. As an ADC main, mid seems to be your go-to lane. Lucian is a great example of a powerful solo laner, abusing strong trades to bully mages. Also, he could work out in the top lane as well, but he's stronger against squishier targets. Support is another good option. You know as an ADC what exactly you want from your support, so you can pick it up. As a support main, jungle isn't a bad idea for your secondary role. The best part of the jungle is that you won't need to learn how to last hit, which can be hard to learn if you spent most of your time supporting. If you want to try last hitting, ADC is a really good alternative. Bot lane is a dual lane, meaning that both roles are experiencing the same thing during the lane. Mid lane is an awesome option if your favorite supports are also mages like Brand or Zyra. Alright, so you've chosen your 2 roles. Let's go ahead and talk about the next steps. Champ pools are dynamic, meaning you can play 5 similar champs or 5 totally different champs. We're going to be breaking down the best way to make these decisions. To figure out what works best for you, we need to talk about the different styles of champ pools. The first style of a champion pool is centered around your main champion's class. When you pick your main, you become comfortable with that playstyle. Picking champions that have the same playstyle will help you grow quickly in your main role. For example, let's say you play Ahri. What's the best part about playing her? Ahri is known for her massive mobility and burst potential, so Fizz and LeBlanc are great choices for practice. For your secondary role, I'd suggest playing a bursty assassin pair of junglers to practice, someone like Kha'Zix or Echo. The next style of champion pool focuses on fulfilling different roles. Players who value team synergy and powerful compositions are really effective with the wider champion pool. I always hate going into games without engage, so I start learning how to play Leona. Your team will be happy to see that your team comp rounded out. Let's use Ahri as our main champion again. We know that she's a mobile assassin, so we don't really want to pick another one. A good idea would be picking somebody like Galio, a tanky, CC mage-oriented champion. For your third choice, a control mage like Anivia would fill every major mid lane archetype. If you're picking early, Ahri would be your default choice. When you're choosing 4th or 5th, you can easily fill what your team is lacking. As a secondary role, I'd choose ADC or top. Both roles have champions that can get the job done, but are easier to play. Don't try to play 5 diverse, complicated champions. Instead, try the easier ones like Malphite or Jhin. The final style of champion pool focuses on covering your main's weaknesses. Players with this style will learn the champions that will counter their main. That way, they can play them if their main gets taken from them. This is the closest that you'll get to being a 1 trick, so try the style if you really enjoy playing your main. As an Ahri main, a good Katarina and Fizz are awful to play against. Practicing these champs will give you 2 major advantages. First, you'll learn how they play and what their cooldowns are, as well as what they struggle with. You'll also have 2 powerful counter picks if your opponent ever locks in Ahri. For your secondary role, I suggest trying to find the closest place to flex one of your 3 main role champions. For example, if you main Yasuo, try him out in the top or bot lane. Unfortunately, this isn't usually the case. Ahri isn't viable anywhere but mid, so I try playing a role with similar champions. In this case, you might enjoy mage support since they pump out a ton of damage. Pick whichever champion pool interests you the most. There is no right or wrong answer. The best part about the champion pool is that no matter where you start, you'll always have the chance to expand them. League of Legends is always changing, and no one is forcing you to stick with the same characters forever. Unless you're totally in love with their main, it's a good idea to evaluate your champion pool a few times during the season. When the meta changes dramatically after a patch, don't feel like you're stuck just because you invested in somebody who just got majorly nerfed. And if you ever need help learning how to play a certain champion, our coaches over at ProGuides.com are available 24/7. You can ask any questions about any matchups and you'll get an answer. We're here to help you with your goals, so don't hesitate if you're struggling. Now that we've talked about the styles of champ pools, let's go through some examples and talk about why they work. In the top lane, tanks are really powerful in the preseason. Moving into Season 11, Shen is an excellent choice for a main. The 2 champions to practice alongside him are Malphite and Ornn. These 3 have game-changing ultimates and are able to start fights on their own. Supports can be your secondary role, playing Rakan and Leona. This entire champ pool focuses on controlling fights and winning games with impactful abilities. Every champion shares something with another champion, meaning that you're always learning no matter who you're playing. And in certain cases, it's kind of like real life. You're always learning no matter how many times you get played. In the jungle, Hecarim is dominant and fun to play as he's packing some serious horsepower. Your 2 other champions will focus on rounding out team comps when needed. When you already have a tanky top laner, you'll be picking Elise for the early game pressure and damage. Master Yi is your choice when every lane seems even and you feel like you can power farm your way through the game. Your secondary role is top, since you feel like playing melee fighters. Your choices are Jax and Darius, 2 simple yet effective champions that love to brawl with their opponents. In the bot lane, let's say Jhin is your main champion. You love using impactful abilities, so you decide to play Ashe and Varus. All 3 of these picks have powerful CC while being pretty different in playstyle. You'll always be impactful with your ultimates and utility while also constantly practicing your skill shots. Mid will be your secondary role, where you'll probably be playing Cassiopeia or Victor. Both of these champions heavily kite their opponents, just like you would as an ADC. This playstyle is similar enough to make playing the role a little bit easier. As a support, you're a die-hard Thresh player. Since you always want to pick him, you decide to invest in some of his counter picks. Morgana and Zyra will be your 2 other main role champions, with both having ways to easily stop hooks. Now, if your opponent ever takes your main, you'll make them regret it. For your secondary role, you play Jhin and Swain in the bot lane, and both of these champions are skill shot reliant with a more supportive kit. Now, we hope that this video has helped you decide on what kind of champion pool that you want to have. Remember, you don't always need to stick with the same champion pool if it's not working out for you. Feel free to change around champions until everything works smoothly. If you want to one-trick a champion and just dodge if you can't play them, well, that works too. Thanks for sticking around and watching, and if you're looking for more informational content and guides, subscribe to our channel, ring that notification bell, and don't forget to answer our question of the day. With that all being said, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day. Peace.